Hello, I'm Helen Dunn and welcome to my new YouTube channel, It's So Much More Than Hair. The inspiration for me starting this channel was to be able to connect people in our industry who are out there doing inspirational things for us, such as people creating content on social media and people out there who are doing session styling and creative work with the hairdressing industry, and bring them to you in an interview style so that you could actually connect with these people and get to know them better. People that we love following on Instagram and social media, and people that we just get our inspiration from. So I thought, what better way to actually bring these people to you than do it in an interview. Today I'd like to introduce to you Benjamin Madle. He is a UK-born hairdresser that started his career in a town a little outside of London. He now lives in the US. His career has taken him on a path into session styling and working with leading fashion houses such as Alexander McQueen and Dolce & Gabbana. He is a multiple award-winning hairdresser. He has produced amazing photographic work, and one of his latest achievements is he is the founder of the Hairdressing Advice, Tips and Education page, which has now over 50,000 followers. I hope you enjoy this interview. Please like, follow and share and enjoy. Thank you for watching.
We did a shoot for a French clothing company. It's quite cool because it's places you couldn't ever get to. It was on the tops of the buildings on Oxford Street in London. It's a very famous shopping. It was brilliant. So you're doing a night shoot up there, so you can see everything and all these views that you wouldn't ever get to see again, type of thing.
Amazing.
It's brilliant. That was quite. That was the
Welcome. So I'd like to introduce Ben Madle, and have I pronounced that right for you, Ben?
It's Madle, but I'll take anything.
Madle.
I get Madle,
Yeah.
Madley, I get
So
them all.
Benjamin Madle. We have just been chatting, and he's just interviewed me. So it is such a pleasure to be able to return the compliment and interview this amazing person about his fabulous career in hairdressing. So without further ado, we'll get started. And I'd just love to ask you, Ben, so where did it all begin for you?
It all began really in my parents' salon in regards to hairdressing. I mean, before that, I left school, didn't really have much of an idea about what I wanted to do. It was sort of a case of I just didn't have a clue, really. I mean, there was such a wide world out there, and I didn't really know what was in it. I didn't really know much what to do. So anyway, just ended up, I wanted to be a musician, really, but as a lot of people find that sort of it's very difficult to make a living at it and whatnot else. I did okay with it, we still get a little bit of money coming every now and again, but not too much. But then when I got to 22, I'd been working in bars and fast food, McDonald's, that sort of thing, in order to be able to sort of pursue the music thing. And it got to a point where I needed to do something a little bit more substantial and a little bit more proper, and something I could take a little bit more seriously for myself and sort of go. And my mum and dad sort of just talking to my mum, and she said, "Oh, why don't you have a go at hairdressing?" A friend of mine at the time, his dad also was a hairdresser, had just done his first year at college. Then went in there, and it was a case of, we're starting then. So went and worked in my parents' salon, which is in a little village just outside of London. I mean, it's 40 miles from London, little village called Nap Hill, which is near Woking, which is near Guildford. Just a little village salon. That's how I started in hairdressing. I did my apprenticeship there. Was there for 7 years in the end.
Fabulous. So musician too, what do you play?
I play a bit of most things, really. Guitar is the main one. uh, bass because that follows on from the guitar, a little bit of piano, little bit of drums. Guitar's the main one. I mean, if people said, "Could you play that?" I'd play it on a guitar. I can make something sound all right on a piano or drums.
I'm sure you can.
But
So jumping away from hairdressing, did you have a band?
yeah, I had a couple of bands. I had a couple of bands when I was younger. Yeah, I mean, even one that floated over the top of hairdressing as well. So yeah, I had a couple of bands. Second one we did all right. Really, we did okay. Lots of
Oh,
radio play and lots of media and whatnot else. So yeah, that was good.
right.
That was fun to do.
Yeah. Okay. So what then? So what you've got just such an amazing resume of experience. So what sparked your interest in fashion?
Um, in the fashion, it was something that just sort of came about. Really, it was working in my parents' salon. It's very much a traditional salon. It's still going now. I mean, it's been open 30 years this year. Um, in the same location as well, which is very, very rare. And it just sort of came about. I wasn't necessarily feeling creatively stimulated. So you get the hairdresser's journal that would come through weekly at that point. And you'll see some of the stuff in there. You think, oh, that looks cool, or this, that, and the other. And I'd always quite liked clothes. I sort of got into clothes in my early 20s. It skipped me for a little while, and it was like I got into, oh, yeah, that's, sort of what was out there really out of suburban Britain, fashion, at the time for men constituted Top Man and Burton's, and it wasn't, jeans and a polo shirt, jeans and a shirt, jeans and whatever. And then, yeah, I saw sort of stuff in the jar. I thought, oh, that would be interesting to get involved in, perhaps. That could be something because I always enjoyed the styling of hair, especially at the start, because you could do that on the dummy head. Once
Yeah.
you cut it, cut it. So that's that. So that was something that my dad sort of done was put the dummy head in the staff room.
Yeah.
So it I would then have to go and do like when I first started, go and put rollers in it, go and do this, go and do that. Just getting you used to sort of handling hair and working with hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that came about the fashion stuff. Yeah, it came about not that long into my career. I think I just finished the 2 years, like my MVQ, which is like your MVQ level 2, which is your first 2 years of hairdressing training.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I was looking for, I don't know, it just sort of came up really. It just sort of happened.
Yeah.
Was yeah. I was looking sort of around, and then one thing led to another, and I got there. I got put in touch with this guy who put on these off-schedule fashion shows. So if you go to a fashion week, especially London, I'm sure they happen everywhere else, you get off-schedule shows. So you
Yeah.
get the London Fashion Week schedule, then you get the ones that sort of branching out of that
Yeah.
aren't anything necessarily to do with London Fashion Week, but they're a fashion show running at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I went and did a couple of shows there. So I did one day as sort of a trial, and then they invited me back for the next one, which was quite nice.
So did you volunteer for those or just to put yourself out there?
Basically, yeah. I just sent a message saying, I see you're looking for hairdressers. I'll be interested. And they said, "Oh, okay, come up." And I did a day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was something that was very different,
Yeah.
to what I'd experienced before. I mean, properly, I got away with it, given that there wasn't that much in the way of hairstyling as such, because I'd only just qualified. I'd only been hairdressing 2 years
Yeah.
at this point, and it was. I remember it was sort of ponytails, but they weren't too neat and they weren't too sleek. So I thought, that's we were, of course, I was a genius at that point in my own mind because I could do
Yeah.
that. It was so yeah. So that's how it got started, really, and then from there it all sort of bloomed, sort of from the people that I met there.
So was that catwalk or was that photography?
That was catwalk.
Yeah.
That was, and then after that, I got talking. There was like an event photographer there, who also was what would you call it? He was like the in-house photographer for a what should we say? It's like a store that sold multiple designers' clothes. So it was a bit like a concession shop. That's better. So it
Okay.
was like an independent concession shop. And he was there as a model / event photographer. So he would take pictures of the models before they went out and whatnot for the designers. So I
Yeah.
just got talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, well, we're actually shooting." a couple of weeks. Do you want to come do the hair? So it was one of those. I was just talking to him, and then I went off and done that shoot. So off of that, it was a catwalk show, and then I ended up going off and doing the hair photos for this concession shop
Yeah.
off the back of that, and that
So,
was like 2 weeks later.
okay. So I know you're very modest, but you have rubbed shoulders with the massive designers like Alexandra McQueen and is it Gucci? Yeah.
No, I didn't. I haven't done Gucci. I
Oh
haven't
no,
done
not Gucci.
Gucci.
Sorry.
No, not
Dolce
Gucci.
Gabbana. Yes.
We've done Dolce Gabbana a couple of
Yeah.
times. That's all. That was all working as assistant. That was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was working. One of those shows was with Guido,
Oh yeah.
and another one was with a guy who's sort of one of these people you've seen his work everywhere, and more people should have heard of him. There's a guy called Madle.
Yeah.
He's does fabulous work, really. Such a good guy as well. So yeah, so I worked a lot with Matt doing those sort of things. On top of that, so yeah, so doing those shows was good. You know, that sort of the evolution of where that came from sort of these sort of very small off schedule shows to then going off and doing these sort of massive shows sort of all around the world was quite interesting, really. You know, sort of how, I don't know, you look back on it, it's one of those things I've had a chance on over the last few years. It's to like look at, oh well, how did that happen? And because at the time it's all such a whirl, you don't really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then sort of you sit back, you know, I've had the chance to sort of take a little while, enforced time off while waiting for visas and such. So it was sort of waiting and think, oh, you know, that was pretty cool to have done that. You know, it's pretty good to have done that.
Yeah. So when you got involved in that, do you become like part of a bit of a team that then just does the traveling fashion shows and things like, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's like, what should we say? Yeah, it is. You become part of a team. And I got very lucky that early on I found my sort of a team that sort of fitted me as such, because you get some people, they're sort of forever changing teams, forever doing this, you know, they're chopping and changing and whatnot. So yeah, it's like I found myself by chance on a guy with Lee Machin on his team.
Yeah.
Just by chance that I knew from goes right back to that first fashion show. A makeup artist I met there was doing another job. It was a Valentine's Day boutique
Yeah.
in a shopping centre. So if you'd spent, I think it was £10, you could go and get your hair or your makeup done by this team in there. And I then met another makeup artist there, Alexis Day, who once again is a brilliant makeup artist who's done so much. And to be honest, I wouldn't have done a lot without what she sort of put me up for or put me in touch with. I met her there, who then it was several years later. I've done a few things in between, like Clothes Show Live and a few other bits with her. And I got a message saying, "Oh, what are you doing? You know, you busy this weekend?" type of thing. They're looking for people in Milan to go and do hair. And at this point, I'd just moved to Berlin.
Wow.
So I just moved there. So I wasn't that busy. I didn't have much to do. I didn't know anyone. Didn't have anything to do. So I thought, oh, book a flight, would go down there. So I did a couple of shows, and then, yeah, like I say, I ended up working with Lee on the Missoni show, which was something that he'd done for a few years. And then, yeah, I just kept getting invited back.
That's great. So do those kind of jobs, do they pay well, or
At the start, no.
Is it a love job?
At the start, no. There's not a great deal of money in it.
Yeah.
How long was I? I was probably doing it for a year before I made any money, before I got paid.
Yeah.
That was we did a shoot for a French clothing company. It's quite cool because it's places you couldn't ever get to. It was on the tops of the buildings on Oxford Street in London. It's a very famous shopping. It was brilliant. So you're doing a night shoot up there, so you can see everything and all these views that you wouldn't ever get to see again, type of thing.
Amazing.
It was brilliant. That was quite nice. That was the first one I got paid for. To be honest, a lot of the time you're doing it for not a lot of money, and also sort of maybe not even covering your expenses sometimes at the start.
Yeah.
But that's where having. I always, what should we say? I had the sort of, it's a curse almost of that. I thought it would all end tomorrow, so I always kept my salon business running nicely alongside it, which enabled me then to go off and do all these things.
So you had your salon. When did you start your first salon?
So as a salon as such, salon's probably a bit of a stretch, but what should we say? So I started that in 2015. So I've been at my parents' salon for 7 years at that point.
Yeah,
I was working there, and it was time for a change. Really, I thought I need to do something here.
yeah,
Suburban Britain isn't quite doing it for me anymore. So I'd split up with a girlfriend at the Easter and decided that I think I'm going to have a bit of a good time. I'm going to go to Berlin for a weekend and have a bit of a good time, which I did. And so I thought maybe I could move here. And I sort of started to look around, and I went back another month later. So this was the June. I went back in the July. I'd done a stage show with the Fellowship the night before, and sort of literally gone home, turned around, and gone back out the door again. Got on the plane, and then went over there for a bit more of a fact-finding mission. We're going to have a look around, just doing things like hanging around in cafes and bars and what, just seeing how many people spoke English
yeah.
and things like that. Which to my joy there was lots. So because obviously I didn't speak German at the time, I didn't know anyone there or anything, so I was just sort of going around, having a look around, handed my CV out and whatnot at a few salons. Had a couple of them get back to me. One of them offered me a job, which eventually they didn't come through on, but I'd already moved at that point. So it was a case of, right, we've got to start. So what I'd done was I started off over there mobile. So
Right.
I would just go around to people's houses using Facebook and whatnot to build a clientele.
Yeah.
And within, what should we say, when did I start? Within 6 months, I'd got too busy to be mobile anymore, because I do feel that depending on what lifestyle you want and what you want, I was too busy. I just couldn't. By the time you've counted in the hours traveling to, from, and wherever else, and that's another couple of clients I could have done.
Yeah.
So then I started having people to my flat,
Yeah.
which was in the north of the city in Prenzlauer Berg on a street called Schönhauser Allee, which is a really nice area now.
Yeah.
It was coming there. It was the up and coming. It had already up and come before it's now the really nice bit when I was there.
Yeah.
So then we went there. Then I worked in my flat then for another couple of years before then opening a little studio space in a what turned out to be like it was someone's flat, but they were renting it out as a workspace, which became a problem. Not too long afterwards. I was there for 3 months, and we had a bit of an issue. But then I moved and opened up a little studio space in one of these weird things. I'd met this guy that sort of been an expat community thing out there, just watching sport, on a Sunday in a little, it's a backpackers bar called Belushi's. They're all scattered throughout the world. And he mentioned he owned this bar, this music venue. Oh, good. So I went down there, and I'd just go down there on social, say hello and have a beer and whatnot else. And then it was like, I thought it'd be really good for a salon. And this is before I even knew anything was going to happen with the other spots. Well, it'd be good for a salon in here.
Yeah.
It's just got that feel about it. It's like good energy. It's a cafe, it's a bar, it's music, it's a gallery. It's got everything going on there.
Is that little secret bar in Berlin?
Or I know many secret bars in Berlin that we can't talk about on here. But
we did go to Berlin. I was trying to find this secret bar that we'd been, but
the cocktail bar.
I don't know. Yeah,
if it was the same one that you're thinking that I'm thinking of, there was a little black door, and it was literally around the corner from my flat in Schönhauser Allee.
Right.
It was, you come around the corner, and it was just this little door. But anywho's. But yeah, this guy, it's called Pratchwork, this place.
I think,
it's a quite big place, nice bar, nice area. And then this happened sort of, it was overnight. It was like the lady who rented me the spot said, you've got to be out by next week, which isn't ideal. So that was that. So I thought, well, in sort of, not in a panic, but in a mood of we need to get things done quickly here. I got in touch with John, this guy, and said, look, I know you've got space there. Have you got anything that I can rent for like a couple of weeks just till I find something else? And he said, yeah, come down. So I went down to the other end of the city and had a look, and whatnot. He said, oh, yeah, come in here. He said, just had like a meeting room. And he said, you can use that if you like. And it was sort of, well, how much do you want to pay? Sort of said, well, how much I was paying before. He said, fine, that's good. We'll go with that then.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was, like I say, it was one of those strange things that I'd looked at it and I thought I'd really like to have a little shop here. I think this could work really well. But where I'd had the other place, I never even thought about getting around to asking. But it was yeah, it was nice. So I stayed there then for the rest of my duration. I was there for nearly 4 years, I think.
So, like legalities of opening a business in Berlin, well, it must be fairly easy.
God, Lord, no, 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 no. It is bureaucracy in Germany is a running joke. It is unbelievable. I mean, there's paperwork for paperwork for paperwork for paperwork. Nothing is easy, and especially it is once again not their fault that I don't speak German. Uh, but luckily, I was able to. I don't know. When you get put in certain situations, you just sort of roll with it. Something will happen. That's generally my philosophy on things. We just keep going. You know,
Yeah,
somebody. There's always somebody who'll help you out. In the end, you had friends and friends of friends and other people who just knew somebody, and it all got opened up and done nicely. It got done properly because it is.
yeah,
It's a little bit. Yeah, red tape is a very keen thing there in Germany sometimes.
yeah. Well, I love doing things. They're very well, my dad's German, so I do understand a little bit of how they think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Everything's very, very correct, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely, and there's no deviation from that, which that is fine.
Yeah,
If it's, I would have preferred it if it was a case of you could turn up like I am I'm in America now. It's turn up and do as you please, basically. Just let us know what you're doing, and we'll all be okay.
gee, I think
That's
maybe I need to move over there too. Hey, Australia's getting a little bit, maybe a lot like Germany, actually.
yeah, too much paperwork, too much paperwork. Now I must admit, it's opening there. In a way, though, it's good lessons.
Yeah,
That I always look back on that in Berlin. And my theory is if I could run a business successfully there
yeah,
with the legislation side of things, with the bureaucracy side of things, with the incredibly high taxes
yeah,
and fees, that come with running a business there, I can run one anyway.
yeah.
It's something that that's one thing I do look back on and think I've done really well.
Mm,
Working there. I mean, we started off. Yeah, like I say, I turned up there with a suitcase and a backpack. I was commuting back and forth to the UK, so I kept my clientele there. I'd go back every 6 weeks to go and do those over a weekend. So I'd go back and work in the shop on a Friday and Saturday. Meet my parents, which I was
yeah,
lucky to do, obviously, because you don't have to pay rent, etc., etc. And then, yeah, building the business up from Germany, like I say, turning up, not knowing anyone, to sort of building a business that was taking just working on my own generally. We had a couple of people come in and sort of help me out here and there, but nothing really lasted more than a couple of months.
yeah,
Um, going from zero to sort of taking 5 figures in a month, working in the back of a bar.
yeah.
It's quite,
It's just phenomenal. It's
yeah,
fantastic.
we done quite well there. So that's something I do look back on and think that
Yeah,
was nice to see. And sort of the nice thing about it was my last month there was the best takings month. So it means
yeah,
I was doing something right, in my mind anyway.
yeah. That's great. So, like last year, you 6 awards, 5 finalists.
6 awards we got
How'd
nominated.
that come about? All the awards, like that is just year after year. You've nominations, and that's another amazing accolade. So, how
I just keep,
what
I
sparked
just,
your interest in that?
the interest in those. Once again, I think it just came from looking at the magazines and things like that. I mean, the first one that I entered was the National Hairdressers Federation. They used to do the photographic stylist of the year.
Yeah,
That was the main sort of trade body in the UK that sort of represented salons and hair, mainly salon owners and whatnot and their concerns. And they would do the photographic hairdresser of the year every year.
yeah,
So I entered the first year. I didn't get anywhere. The second year I entered, this was just after. So the first year I entered, I hadn't qualified yet, and the second year I entered, I just qualified or was just qualifying. And yeah, once again, it goes back to that fashion show. I got one of the female model that I used for that shoot I met at the fashion show. She was working here as a waitress. So I used her as a model for that. And then a makeup artist I met at that fashion show. I then went and did a job for a male modeling agency. Not myself. I was just doing the hair. I wasn't doing anything else, of course. But and they were just still doing their new boys. They got like half a dozen or so new faces. And one of them looked really good. Like his hair just looked cool. It was just before when it became very trendy, like the fade thing became trendy. It was just before that. And he sort of had a very light one going on. It was like a bit of a longer version with a big quiff. I thought that just looks cool. So I said to the photographer there, who also did the photos for the other one, I said, "Can you do a picture for me of this guy? You know, if that's all right." He said, yeah, no trouble. So anyway, bang. So I've lucked out and done well with that. Sent them in and they won. So that was I won the male look that year. I came second in the female, but they used to do a thing where it was like a point system. So if you get X, so you could have theoretically come second in the male, second in the female, but won the overall.
Yeah.
Where I won the male and then came second in the female, I then won the overall, which was really good.
That's
And then,
fabulous.
it started off.
Congratulations. That's so good. Like such an achievement. It's really hard work, the competition, road, isn't it? Because it's just it really, people think it's such a it's such a walk in the park, and it's sort of like, but it's another career path in hairdressing again, isn't it? Like to go down that path.
It's a different way of thinking about hair. It's a different way because you could do something that you do in the salon, and it looks amazing. It looks brilliant. You can do it on a client or whatever. As soon as you get it in front of a camera, it looks a bit average.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I still don't know. But then, from there, I just sort of carried on. I think the only year I've had since 2000, since that win, since 2011, I didn't finalise for anything in 2012.
Right.
But I've finalised in at least one every year since then.
Yeah.
And it's just a case of, what should we say? I like to keep doing it because it enables me to keep the creativity flowing.
Yeah.
Because it stops you getting bogged down as much. It's almost like, it costs you money. In the end, I also, to do these things, to do the photos, to get the models, etc., etc. But I also use it as a good way to promote the business. It creates a good, unique selling point.
Yeah.
As well, is I was speaking to another couple of people on my own podcast the other day, and they do very well with awards and whatnot else. And it's creating this unique selling point because clients don't necessarily know the big awards, that you'll be going that, really excited about. It's like getting nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
From the egg and spoon race, but it's still that thing of it looks good, doesn't it? I mean, we've had 38 now. I think I've had nominations. We had a couple of wins in there, but normally it's just normally a nomination.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see
it's
what
amazing.
we're going to do this year.
But it is expensive. Like we've even actually when I was teaching, we introduced a photographic competition for the students to kind of start inspiring them into that. And and so because of that, we introduced some people like yourself to come and inspire them, and then just you sort of see that side of it, how much it does cost to actually invest in your career like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it can be expensive. I mean, my thing is I don't spend a lot of money on it. It's an extra expense, but I started doing my photographs for myself in 2013. So I bought a camera. I bought a camera a few years before because I thought, well, this could be the way to go, about it. Working with a couple of good photographers, and then it was a case of I worked with a photographer and we'd done some bits, they were okay, and there were some other bits that weren't, and it was like, well, I could do this myself, especially now.
Yeah.
We've got access, it's digital, so you know what you're getting, and it doesn't cost you anything to find out it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's working on film, it was a different cat of the fish. But started to do that, and then I was lucky that my dad was given by an old client of his some old photographic lights. I mean, these things were old. They were one step up from candlelight. You know, they were old, but they done the job. They done me for about 5 years
Yeah.
till they finally gave out. I couldn't find anyone to fix them, so I had to get some new ones. But you can, I mean, it's a little bit of money, especially when you're starting out. You can get yourself a reasonable photography setup, good lights, bit of a
Yeah.
background, reasonable camera. You can pick that up for, I mean, what we're talking there in English money. At the time, it was about 1,000,
Yeah.
around about £1,000. So, now it's probably around 1,500,
Yeah.
something like that. But then when you're thinking you could spend 10,000 on a day for one of the top
Yeah.
hair photographers,
Yeah.
not bad, is it?
Well,
You
that's
know,
what I was, like some of the, the hairdressers that we had in to inspire the students were spending that, on their
yeah.
shoots. So yeah, but yeah, it's still such a creative. It's a great way to to go. It's a great another avenue of hairdressing that can take you on a whirlwind of experiences and fun down that path as well. So
Oh,
it's
definitely. I mean, I personally think that everyone should get involved at some point doing it. Whether or not they carry on doing it, that's a different matter. But
yeah,
especially young hairdressers, I mean, for a start, if you can't be enthusiastic about it at the start, there's probably
yeah,
not much hope for you in the future.
yeah,
But it enables you to look at things differently, enables you to analyze your work differently,
yeah,
enables creativity.
yeah,
That you can those ideas that you've got in your head, you can sort of make them work in regards to sort of hair and sort of your own image and your own sort, what should we say, your own visions.
yeah.
Which is important to do, I think, because you can
And
get bogged down.
I was going to just interrupting, but one of as a Australian hairdresser, we look to British Hair Awards for our inspirations because we're
Yeah,
kind of like our competitions are a little bit just after yours. So whatever, or from the UK anyway. Yeah, sorry, you've been winning US awards as well, but both, yeah, our comps come in a little bit after the UK awards, so that's where our inspo comes from, and it's you guys are you're sort of holding the flame there for us a little bit too.
yeah. I mean, you do some brilliant. To be honest with you, I always look at the Australian Hair Awards and whatnot. And there's always brilliant work. There's always very interesting work.
Mm,
That I find. Sometimes I find, certainly with the British ones as well, British Hair Awards. Sometimes there's a bit of a much for muchness. Whereas from I don't know whether it's because I look at it a bit more, or whether or not it's because of that. But I always think like Australia, there seems to be a bit more creativity and a bit more difference in the work.
there's
People are
a
sort of pushing it a little bit more, or sort of twisting it and just doing interesting stuff with it.
Yeah, probably because there is that little bit of we're still, we love a bit of avant-garde as well.
Yeah.
Like lots of just pushing the envelope there a bit. There's lots of creativity coming out even from New Zealand at the moment as well. So and just just I think anything goes, doesn't it? Really?
Oh,
Like
oh, absolutely. And that's part of the joy of doing these awards, doing photographic shoots, doing all those interesting things. It's anything goes.
yeah.
I mean, the way that I sort of always approach it, I'll just do what I want, and if they like it, they like it. I've
Yeah.
never tried to sort of fit what I think is going to work.
Yeah.
As well. I'll do what I do, and if I like it, I like it.
Yeah.
My thing is, if I'm doing personal work, it's going to be personal. It's not going to be because I think XYZ judge will like it, or XYZ product company will like it, or whoever it is. Which I
Yeah.
think that's another reason why it's important for individuals to do that work.
Yeah.
Is to get a bit of themselves out there, find out a little bit about who they are, what they like doing as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, just another topic and another little or not little, it's huge project of yours now is your group that you've 50,000 people.
Yeah, it sort of happened.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. No, we started that. That was another lockdown project.
Yeah.
But it's quite nice because it was able to mature itself. You know,
Yeah.
it was sort of, we had the lockdown. I mean, I know Australia had it bad. We had it on and off for virtually 2 years.
Hang on, we were the most locked down city in the world.
Yeah, I understand you were. Yeah, we
We had
weren't
Adolf
quite as
Hitler.
bad.
We had Adolf
Yeah,
Hitler incarnate as our premier.
yeah. No,
People might not like that. I'll take that one
no,
back.
that's all right. That's all right. No, we had Merkel, which maybe wasn't quite as good either. But yes, it wasn't good. For pretty much 2 years it was restrictive, and it did sort of have an effect with business and things like that as well. I mean, like I say, I mean there was points where we were, like I say, locked down for 2 years. You have to show your papers to get on the train, you know, and things like that. So there was people who couldn't show their papers, or
Yeah.
with the ever changing rules on what your papers were supposed to say. So it was a case of it was mayhem like that. So, but I need to be doing something, you know, and I was stuck in my flat essentially. You know, I mean, what you do meters,
That
don't you?
guy in the garage with the the guy in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
basement.
I mean, I had what 28 square meter flat. So what's that? It's roughly 150 square foot. So it's tiny little box. You
Yeah.
know, I think the little room I'm in now is not far off it. But yeah, it was tiny. So it was like I was sort of doing videos, sort of business help videos. I mean, I did a fair bit with the industry as well, because in Germany we were lucky in the fact that we opened up a little bit sooner than most people for hairdressing. A bit with some very, very heavy restrictions. So I did a lot with sort of the media and the hairdressing media in the UK, talking about what the rules were essentially and what they could possibly expect. So I started doing these videos, sort of, it was business help videos. And whatnot else. So I thought, well, I need to create a group. Really, I think we need a better quality group in hairdressing. This is one of my big bugbears with the industry. I think we need to up the quality of what we're doing. Sometimes it can feel a little bit budget reality TV, whereas I think we should be going, if we're going to do reality TV, we need to do MasterChef rather than sort of, you know, without being snobby, Love Island.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we need to do. We need to create something that's a little bit more aspirational and a little bit more classy. So I thought, well, I'll create my own group if I can't find something. There are other good groups out there, of course, but I thought I'll create my own, and sort of as a way to certainly push my work with the videos and whatnot. And then just see where it goes. And sort of started off. Obviously, you have your connections within the hairdressing industry. I think we had a couple of hundred people for a few months, and then it slowly started to tick over, and then I really started to notice it taking off was February 2023.
Yeah.
I think we hit 5,000 members February 2023, and I thought it's still bubbling away, even though I haven't really done anything. You know, it's just sort of
It's running itself now.
Yeah, it was running itself. It was its own little monster, because post sort of lockdown, post COVID, that it got very busy. You know, life resumed. You know, we're got to go do the work, got to do this, do that, do the other, to keep up with everything else. And it was sort of something that just sort of got forgotten about a little bit. And then it's like I say, I noticed it February last year, and it was just going, and it's grown exponentially since then. I think we've had, how many we had? Well, we've had over 40,000 more now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. 40,000. Sorry, telling a lie, over 50,000. I think we hit 55,000.
Yeah.
And
the vibe on the page is really good. Like, you know, you get your odd little, you know, bit of banter on there, but the vibe is actually quite a good vibe. It's, you know, it's good.
Oh, thank you. Because that was something that I wanted to do as well, is to make it a very, very inclusive place. I don't like places that are sort of exclusive in the sense that, you know, you're either part of the gang or you're not. You know, and there's plenty of those around. And I thought to myself, well, we're not going to have that. We're not going to have the gang mentality, because I don't like it. And I wanted somewhere that's very open and supportive, and somewhere that anyone can feel that they can ask a question. You know, sometimes, you know, it's social media and it's the internet, so you're going to get somebody who pipes up. But I do try and get rid of those people immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah.
You know, if I see it, they're gone.
Yeah.
So I think it's doing its purpose at the moment. Now we're trying to we're trying to grow the group now. I'm trying to grow it into something that's a bit bigger than just a Facebook group.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sort of expanding. I mean, as you know, you've just been a guest on the podcast that's launching very soon. There's some other bits that I've got in the pipeline as well. I want to create some more sort of video media, things like that as well. We've got the hairdressing advice, tips, and education guide to colour.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's interesting. How long did that take to evolve?
well, once again, that was another one that was a lockdown project.
Yeah.
Because it was one of I get a little bit frustrated in the fact there's lots of wonderful colour education out there. It actually touches a little bit on what we spoke about in our podcast earlier, but it's more technique based, which is fantastic. But you need to know what the colours are doing first. You need to know why it's doing what it's doing. You know why you're doing those steps. Because I always feel if you can understand, right? Okay, I need to get this outcome. Well, if I do this, and this will spread out to that. So I decided to write a book on colour theory. It's completely brand neutral as well, which is the other important thing that I thought it needed to be, because you get colour is colour.
Yeah.
A level 1 is still the darkest, level 10 is still the lightest, and what those colours do in between, it still works the same.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a handy little book there that could be something that's useful to everyone. So somebody who's just starting out, can use the book, as a good learning resource. And is somebody who's a bit more experienced, we've all been there. I've been there certainly frequently. Is you think, am I doing this? Should I put 20 or 30 in there? And you're just sort of sitting there. You get in your little mind. Whereas if you can open up the little book, I mean, it's only 50 pages long, so I've condensed it down.
Perfect.
Into a small sort of go-to guide. You can get it online as well. It's in digital format. So you
I
can
was
get it
going to ask that. That's good.
Yeah, it's all available on Amazon.com or your local Amazon store. If you search for Benjamin Madle, the book comes up.
Can you get it's hard copy too? I love a hard copy.
You can get a hard copy, paperback version, or the digital version as well. Yes, it's a brilliant little learning resource, if I don't say so myself, because you've got this little wealth of knowledge. There's even bits about colour terminology. It's like people come in, I want a hazelnut. I want a hazelnut. You think, what's a hazelnut? And it's like, so I've sort of done my best at going through these terms that you hear of what people say are colours, and sort of giving you a bit more of a professional idea about where that goes to. Because I certainly found that as a younger stylist, when you're a little bit more unsure of yourself and what you're doing and things like that. Oh, I want a cappuccino, or I want this sort of colour, and you think,
honey.
What on earth? Yeah, honey. Yeah, exactly.
Honey.
What on earth is this? So now in the back of the book, you've got a nice little
caramel.
You can go through, and it says, "Oh, honey, that's sort of a bit of a golden blonde."
That's
so
right.
That's all right. We can work with that a little bit more.
Yeah. What happened to Tejan when we were, that?
Exactly. There's it happens to it all, but it's a good little resource. Like I say, with the group, we're trying to now expand it into other territories. We've got the podcast that's launching soon. We've got some brilliant guests on there. Media work as well. We want to get a little bit more into creating more videos. That's something that I've got in my bonnet at the moment. I want to create some nice videos with sort of just hairstylists who I like their work.
That's
it's essentially good. It. Because that's the other thing I want to use it for, as well as giving exposure to people who don't necessarily get that much exposure, or should get exposure but don't. Because once again, it takes away from that gang mentality. Yeah,
there's just so much really now with with the internet that that you can share further around and far and wide, isn't there? And which brings us closer together as well, so that we're not as as removed, or as we're not waiting 6 months for that fashion to come out or anything like that. We've got it more instantaneously.
Yeah. Everything's now, and there's so many resources out there now that you can use. but Facebook for me is it's a bit of a devil, but it's also a brilliant resource.
I know.
Yeah.
It's that
You know,
necessary sort of evil because it's and it's moving, isn't it? Like they're saying now Instagram's becoming the new Facebook and then TikTok's now the new Instagram and it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
like
Oh, it's a, it's an
but
ever changing thing.
you've got to have a grip on it all, really.
Oh, certainly. I mean, for me, Facebook is always going to be the one. I
Mm.
think purely from I wouldn't have had my business. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, or able to do what I'm doing now without it. Even my hairdressing in Berlin wouldn't have been able to build. How prior to social media, how would I have gone out there and just built a business? Being an English speaking hairdresser in Berlin,
Yeah.
it's would it'd have been very difficult. It'd have been very time consuming. And probably wouldn't have worked. Then it moves on to the group. How
Yeah.
do you connect that many people together, sort of in one place? It's like you couldn't have done that before. Especially with a common goal, and a common interest. You couldn't have done that before. As well with I don't know. I always look at it as Facebook will be there because of the way that people interact with it.
Yeah.
It's a lot more. Instagram's a little bit more. What should we say? You're scrolling through, and nobody really reads. I've always said this. This is why I preferred not really to put too much energy into it. With certainly with my English hairdresser business, we're going to put some more energy into it now with the Facebook group business. But people don't pay attention to what's written. They just sort of see a pretty picture and you sort of scroll through and you tap, scroll through and you tap. Oh, we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
I was saying to someone, you could put something, a few sentences down. All you need to do is message me and I'll give you £1 million. But they would never do it because they'd never see it.
Yeah.
They're just constantly going through there. So it's very hard to get your message out, and on there. Whereas Facebook, people read and then sort of see the picture. I always think it's because of the layout. So where you've got Instagram, the writing's underneath the picture.
Yeah.
So the picture is obviously the main focal point. Whereas with
Yeah.
Facebook, the writing's always above the picture, so that's the main focal point, and then you see the picture.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway. My amateur analysis of it.
Mm.
But yeah, I always think with Facebook as well. They're obviously the same company, and you can certainly on the backside of it with the business side, you can sweep into all the platforms with it. I always think it's going to be certainly demographic wise, it's getting older. But is that a bad thing? I don't really think so. I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
On there for that. But like I say, necessary evil, like you said. Sorry, it's the necessary evil.
Yeah. I think, it's working at the moment, so we just keep doing it. And, the other thing, the wonderful thing about your group, hairdressing tips and tricks is there's that many people. We're not alone. We're not, you think that people are coming and going in the industry and, but to think that there's 50,000 people in this group, that's amazing. And growing,
Yeah. Oh, at the moment we're growing it. We're growing it. We're just under 2,000 last week, new members. We're around, if we haven't hit 55,000, we will do this week.
Yeah.
At some point. But it's that wonderful thing. And like you say, is everyone's in it together. I'll go back to it. I've really tried to harbour that inclusivity aspect of it and to keep it so it's everyone's treated as equals. There's no sort of the upper level that are admired and everyone, that aren't these wonderful. It's like everyone's on a base level. Anyone can answer, anyone can ask a question, anyone can post their work, anyone can, as long as you're being positive and constructive, anyone can do what they please on there.
And there is no silly question. I say to the apprentices, I learn off them as well. Like there's nothing, because like you said, before, everything's been done before, but we're still doing it again in a new way or whatever it might be. There's always something, something to evolve. But
oh, certainly.
fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially, you're picking things up. You've got, I know for a fact we've got people on there that have just started their training, and we've got people on there that have been hairdressing nearly 50 years.
Mm.
And it's wonderful that there's that resource there where like you can get that person who's struggling to do a set, struggling to put a roller in their hair.
Yeah.
But then you've got that person at the other end of the career who's also, it's good that people are willing to give their knowledge as well. That's
Yeah.
the other thing, because it doesn't work without people doing that,
No.
and it's wonderful you get people, it's like, who are being helpful and constructive and good people and saying, no, this is how you could do it that will make
Yeah.
it easier, and that is, it's brilliant that we've got that broad church of members,
Yeah.
in the group as well. It's not like a condensed little group, sort of a peer group almost, of people around about the same age. Sort of, I keep an eye on the demographics. I keep an eye on, where people are, how old people, and we've got massive, broad number of ages and from places and experience. It's brilliant.
I was going to ask, like, where would be the most, rarest place that, one of the members, where they come from?
Rarest place. Let's have a look. To be honest, it's difficult. We've had a few people. There's where have we got? I know this is a question. Rarest. I know the biggest one's America, with the biggest country. The biggest one's America, then Britain, then Australia, South Africa, then Nigeria. Funnily enough, Nigeria's in the top 5. I don't really know. I would suspect it'll probably be. Yeah, it's difficult because we've got people from all over.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look. I'll see if I can find that out. I'll let you know. But yeah, I don't really know.
I know. I'm not sure whether it was for the pages a couple of years ago were offering mentorships. You could actually sign up and be a mentor, and I'm not sure whether your page had that, but it comes with hairdressing. And I ended up mentoring. Oh, yeah, I ended up mentoring someone from Nigeria, which was absolutely like during COVID, and I actually wanted to send her over some hair care products, but at that time there were no planes going over there.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt so
nothing
sorry
going
for
nowhere.
like, but I mean, it was tough for us getting stock, let alone, like over there. But like, to think that how amazing it is that again we're connected with with from all over the world like that.
Yeah, like you say, is how what other point in time that we're aware of could you like instantaneously? I mean, we you're in Australia, I'm here in the Midwest of America.
Yeah,
it's how do you have a video conversation with those people? You couldn't. If you'd have thought 20 years ago you could do this, you'd probably say you're pushing your luck a little bit to be doing it within that time.
Yeah.
If you would have said 50 years ago, they'd thought you're mad.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Great times.
The evolution. Oh, it's the best of times. It was the worst of times. We're in a very interesting time period, especially with the advent of AI and things like that, which I think, for the physical side of hairdressing, I don't think we should be that worried just yet. I'll be gone by the time that they're worrying about that. So I'll see it out. But it's going to be interesting now from the point of view of managing client expectations and
with colours and light.
Oh yeah, I've already seen it. Seen it. There was I think it was actually in the group. If not, it was somewhere else. Someone posted a video, an image, and it was, how can I achieve, how my client wants this, how can you achieve this color? And you had to look, and you had to know a little bit about what you're doing for, and sort of my background with sort of doing my own photographs and understanding editing software and things like that. You look at it and it isn't a real picture.
Yeah.
And if it was, it had been through the filters, it had been through filter after filter after filter.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a really interesting thing now. And how we can use AI, I think, now as well as an industry. There must be people out there with far greater understanding of it than I, that are using it for things that we don't even know about yet, with hair. It could be a really interesting advent in regards to that. I think it's going to be one of those things. It'll be a blessing and a curse at the same time. Yeah.
But I think, like, ultimately they'll still need us to start it off anyway. Get the hair into that, and then they can add the AI.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've just got a couple of questions that before we sort of finish up. It's been such a great conversation, loving it.
Oh, thank you, Helen.
Okay, so who would be the favourite person you've worked with, or the most, inspirational person that's
Hair wise or
hair-wise or fashion-wise, or a standout for you?
what should we say? Inspirational. Well, I had a small sit down thing with a few years ago with a guy called Robert Labetta. I don't know if you remember Robert, but as sort of a hairdresser, he was doing all the stuff they do with Photoshop before Photoshop existed. And then he's a photographer and he's an artist and whatnot. It was only a very brief sort of thing. I was part of a competition I'd done all right in, and he was there talking. I would say he's probably the most inspirational, certainly from a hair thing as well, because it was sort of my dad put me on to who he was, because obviously my dad was of a similar generation. He said, this guy, he's good. There's not many people my dad thinks that are at that level. And and he said, well, he does the photos and he does this and he does that. And a lot of the stuff that he's done, like he started off pretty much most of what you'll see in editorial hairdressing, what you'll see in avant-garde hairdressing. He started it off.
Yeah.
Put Robert Labetta down. Yeah.
That's great. What about who cuts your hair?
My wife does. No, there's not a great deal left. Grade 1 all over. Yeah, that's it these days. My dad used to cut my hair. My dad was the only one who really used to cut my hair.
Oh,
Occasionally,
how nice.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else cut my hair until I was in my 30s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he was the only one who cut my hair.
Yeah.
So I realised, I realised it was going. I grew it long. I grew it sort of down to me middle of my chest when I realised that we were in the Last Chance Saloon here.
Yeah.
And then I think he was it. And I had another guy I know, Reno, cut my hair a couple of times, like when we were on a job or something like that, and we had a bit of downtime or whatnot. But yeah. So my dad was the only one who cut my hair. Now my wife does it.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. Okay, what about your favourite hairdressing tool?
Favorite hairdressing tool?
Like,
let's have a think. I might be really boring and say a comb.
a comb?
Yeah. Well, because you can't do anything without a comb.
You can't.
You can't. Nothing else you can do. It's like every single aspect. Yeah, you'd need a comb. So a good comb. I like my little YS Park. I forget the name of it, but it's the standard cutting one. That's all right. I like that one.
Well, it's so versatile, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
My husband gets my cutting comb to do his eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. You see, you do it all.
It works.
Do everything.
Oh, so you were saying you in your book you don't sort of like you're not biased to any brands, but are there any brands that you really like? Like,
I was always very mix and match with products. That also being from a small salon, they don't pay much attention to you, the product companies. So it was a case there wasn't really too much loyalty built up. Kuhn used to use a lot of Kuhn. Did a little. They were always very kind to me whenever I wanted anything or needed anything for doing a show or something like that. They would always send me stuff. Kuhn were always they sort of a good full range of products really. Favorite product wise, what would I used to use? The other one that I really used to like, but they stopped doing it, was Kiehl's. Do you know Kiehl's, the skincare brand? Silk Groom, it was called.
Yeah.
It was like a grooming cream with jojoba oil.
Oh yes,
in it, and that was brilliant. But they got bought out by some big conglomerate and stopped making it.
Right.
That was brilliant. I used to love that because it was something I actually got put onto not long before it got discontinued.
Right.
But it was such a versatile product. I'd use it on everyone.
Yeah.
Men, women, short hair, long hair, everything. You could create these really soft, natural looking styles. Or sort of sleek and look. It was just a really cool, versatile product.
Yeah. So, Kuhn,
Yeah,
Keune.
that's right.
Here in
Yep.
Australia, we call it Kune.
Okay. It's, I think it's one of those, isn't it? It's
I
very
don't know.
difficult to
I don't know.
wherever you are. I think it's different. I suspect I've probably said it wrong, but yeah,
No,
Q,
no,
yeah.
you probably have said it how it's obviously you're closer to them. We went to their factory actually in Amsterdam or just out of Amsterdam a couple of
Okay,
years ago to check out. Yeah, they took us on a tour,
yeah,
which
it's a
was
good little do. Yeah,
yeah. But I can't remember whether they probably pronounced it exactly like you do as well.
yeah.
So I think
I
it
don't
must.
know whether it's not a Kune or Coon, or,
I don't know.
it's like yeah. It's difficult. Q, I've
Yeah,
always gone for. They know what I mean. They know who we are. They're who they
yeah.
are. You know. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
they were always good.
one more question. Your favorite place in the world that you've visited?
Oh, I don't know. I've been lucky enough to go to a lot. Um, where are we favourite place in the world? I like America as a whole. I like. I don't know. What should we say? Should we go back? Yeah, we'll say, London's brilliant. I love London, but that's sort of pretty much where I'm from. What else we got? Let's say Berlin. Yeah, let's say Berlin. 'Cause if I hadn't gone to Berlin, like nothing else would have happened. You
Yeah,
know, I met my wife there. I sort of started a good business there. I was able to go off and do all the fashion stuff that I ended up doing. I was able easily to do the award stuff because it's a very young, vibrant city, or it certainly was when I was there. It's certainly changing now. And you were getting all these really fun, creative people there, and there was sort of almost a trend to get a Berlin haircut, as people sort of would term it. So you would get these, especially with younger ladies, they would come along and they would have the long hair, very traditional sort of, what young girls have. And they would go to Berlin, and it's a very dark, industrial, sort of cool place. And
yeah,
sort of say everyone would have these really edgy haircuts. So
yeah. It's a
people would
pretty
come in
cool
with
town.
yeah. It's good. People would come in with like hair down to their waist, then like end up with like a fade with like a really strong fringe,
Yeah,
things like that because they were in Berlin, so they felt unfortunately they probably felt like they had to fit in a bit more. They
yeah.
had to fit in with what it was rather than necessarily what they might have wanted really for themselves. But it enabled people to explore that. Yeah, and I was able to do that. It was brilliant 'cause it was really easy to get models for things. I just
That's
get my clients, someone would come in, oh, yeah, they look cool, yeah, they'll do, So yeah, Berlin, we'll say Berlin because it enabled me to do everything really that I've done now. Yeah.
yeah, fabulous. That's so good. So, yeah, so back to your book, how so people can get it on Amazon?
Amazon, yeah. If you go to
Yeah,
your local Amazon store, Amazon.com, yeah, Amazon.co.uk.au, whatever your local Amazon shop is, you can pick it up on there. It's available as a paperback and it's also available as an ebook on there.
yep. And then I think I'll put the link to the Facebook group in the comments as
Yeah,
well.
please do.
So,
We don't have an entry process either on there because that was another thing I was keen to eliminate. The
yeah,
last thing you need to do is answer 20 questions before you join a group. It's a
yeah,
good friend, like as you say, a good friendly group. We keep it that way. Everyone's included. Any question, big or small, as long as it's hair related, people are, we're happy to have it on there.
yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ben. It's been an
Oh,
absolute pleasure to speak to you.
thank you very much for having me. Very kind of you.
Loved listening to your experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day for you. And yeah, we'll speak again soon.
Speak soon. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.